Hello, everyone, and welcome to Franchise by Nguyen. I'm having a very special guest on my show today, the General Director of KFC Vietnam, also my friend Chef. And as you know, he's been leading KFC in Vietnam, a very successful international franchise brand. So I would like to explore how he can actually, show us some of the tips, some of the things that KFC has done right in Vietnam, and also his advice for the aspiring young entrepreneurs of Vietnam so that we can package and export our franchise models and brands in the future. Thank you very much for being on the show with us today, and thanks for supporting VFLN. My first question would be about KFC, since you're the GD of KFC. What do you think has made the success of KFC in Vietnam so far?
Well, there are, of course, many reasons for KFC to be successful, but there are a few that I'd like to highlight. First of all, fried chicken as a category is kind of much more center of plate for Vietnamese consumers as, say, compared to something like a pizza or a burger. So that's important, and KFC was kind of the right brand. The second thing would be a great relationship between the franchisors and the franchisee, a sort of mind meld and orientation towards a single goal. Often what we see is that franchisors they tend to be very interested in growth, whereas franchisees are more oriented towards profits, right? So KFC Vietnam, one of the reasons for success, I would say, is that was able to quickly reach profitability, which meant that the interests of both parties are aligned. That helped in the growth. The other important reason for success must be the people, because it's now been a year that I've been here, and I'm really so impressed looking at the quality, not just of the management team, but also the restaurant team, the operations team, their enthusiasm, and more importantly, their passion for the brand really is impressive.
Thank you for that. I mean, there are a lot more international brands entering Vietnam because Vietnam is a very potential market for franchising at the moment. For brands that are to enter Vietnam, what would you say about the challenges of the Vietnamese market, and what would be your advice from somebody who has been here, done that, and helping an international brand succeed in Vietnam?
Sure. So, international brands coming here, first of all, need to deal with, like I just spoke about, the cultural relevance to fit their brand and their products to be relevant for the Vietnamese consumer. That's very important to achieve the product market fit, so to speak. I'd say that the second challenge that's posed is that almost every market has a different kind of unit economics. For example, here in Vietnam, rentals or occupancy costs, they tend to be on the higher side, just because if you compare, say, a city like Ho Chi Minh City versus Bangkok as an example, the sheer availability of retail space here is like 10-15% compared to, let's say, Bangkok. And so the prices are higher. Based on this, the international brands need to be able to adapt their models to be profitable. The third one, I'd say, is the legal aspects of business. Franchising per se seems to have very clearly done legal regulations. But despite that, for many industries, there are chance for interpretation of laws in certain ways. And international brands accessing the Vietnamese market need to be sure about what lines of business they need to have. So some of the elements that I believe could be challenges for international brands.
This is out of the script, but you just shared with me that KFC Vietnam has gone live streaming, and it's been a success, and you are the first QSR company to actually do it. So can you share a bit about what you think about the potential of it for the future?
Yeah, so I mean, you look at our lives as they are today, and you'd see a lot of people moving towards scrolling. They love reels, and TikTok is a phenomena which has been amazing here in Vietnam. It's a great way to connect with the younger audience, with the Gen Zs. So at KFC, of course, we always find an opportunity to connect with our consumer base, and Gen Zs are very relevant for us. And so we wanted to, see how we can connect with them on TikTok. We already had a lot of videos of our, the Gen Z workforce that we have. Almost majority of our workforce is with very young people. And then we wanted to extend it to actually being on TikTok Shop. So if there's an audience, and I know that you've got quite an audience, I'd invite everyone to go and look at us on TikTok Shop, on our channel, and also subscribe to us. So we believe that this is an initiative that's going to go really well as well.
Last but not least, at VFLN, we are basically nurturing a new generation of franchisors that are homegrown, with a wish that we would be able to export the F&B models overseas. As somebody who is an industry expert, what would be your advice to the young and aspiring young entrepreneurs of Vietnam who would like to be the franchisors in the future?
Starting up and expanding to any country is basically a startup, right? And the only thing about this which is different is that the concept is probably already there. It's already successful here in Vietnam. But it's almost like when you try to do a franchising initiative, you really have to flip your roles. So we always look at this analogy of in sports where you've got a player and you've got a coach. So these are dramatically different things. And so you almost have to transform yourself from being a player to a coach. And what a coach does is that the coach really understands very deeply the key reasons for success of a business. So Vietnamese potential franchisors need to understand why their business is successful, write that out in the form of templates, in the form of clear processes that are scalable, that bring in consistency in the way that franchisees in other countries can run the business, and then play the role of a coach. And often this means recruiting a team that's focused on the job of coaching, very different from the job of actually running a business. So I think that my one sentence advice would be focus on coaching.
Thank you very much, Chef, for being on the show with us today. Thank you for your time. And I do hope that we will see a lot more of you in the future.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
So there you go, everyone. You've heard from the General Director of KFC Vietnam about how international brands can enter Vietnam successfully from the perspective of someone who has been developing an international franchise brand in Vietnam successfully, and recently has also been the first QSR brand to live stream and sell on TikTok. He has also given us some advice for the aspiring young entrepreneurs of Vietnam to build our homegrown brands so that we can export our brands and models internationally. So go Vietnam. I would really want to see how Vietnamese brands could package, could be professionalized, and see the Vietnamese brands being able to develop globally in the future.